Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, we will be talking about the lost treasure of El Dorado. El Dorado, also known as the City of Gold, is a legendary city that was believed to be located in the Americas. Many explorers, including the famous Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro, searched for El Dorado and its fabled treasure. The lust for gold spans all eras, races, and nationalities. To possess any amount of gold seems to ignite an insatiable desire to obtain more. Through the centuries, this passion gave rise to the enduring tale of a city of gold. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Europeans believed that somewhere in the New World there was a place of immense wealth known as El Dorado. Their searches for this treasure wasted countless lives, drove at least one man to suicide, and put another man under the executioner's axe. El Dorado shifted geographical locations until finally it simply meant a source of untold riches somewhere in the Americas, says Jim Griffith, a folklorist in Tucson, Arizona. But what is the truth behind this legend? Let's find out. Origins. The origins of El Dorado lie deep in South America. And like all enduring legends, the tale of El Dorado contains some scraps of truth. When Spanish explorers reached South America in the early 16th century, they heard stories about a tribe of natives high in the Andes Mountains in what is now Colombia. When a new chieftain rose to power, his rule began with a ceremony at Lake Guatavita. Accounts of the ceremony vary, but they consistently say the new ruler was covered with gold dust, and that gold and precious jewels were thrown into the lake to appease a god that lived underwater. The Spaniards started calling this golden chief El Dorado, the Gilded One. The ceremony of the Gilded Man supposedly ended in the late 15th century when El Dorado and his subjects were conquered by another tribe. But the Spaniards and other Europeans had found so much gold among the natives along the continent's northern coast that they believed there had to be a place of great wealth somewhere in the interior. The Spaniards didn't find El Dorado, but they did find Lake Guatavita and tried to drain it in 1545. They lowered its level enough to find hundreds of pieces of gold along the lake's edge. But the presumed fabulous treasure in the deeper water was beyond their reach. Some facts. Raleigh's quest. English courtier Sir Walter Raleigh made 2 trips to Guyana to search for El Dorado. During his second trip in 1617, he sent his son, Wat Raleigh, with an expedition up the Orinoco River. But Walter Raleigh, then an old man, stayed behind at a base camp on the island of Trinidad. The expedition was a disaster, and Wat Raleigh was killed in a battle with Spaniards. Eric Klingelhofer, an archaeologist at Mercer University in Macon, Georgia, is trying to find the site or Raleigh's base camp on Trinidad. He says Walter Raleigh was furious at the survivor who informed him of Wat's death and accused the survivor of letting his son be killed. The man goes into his cabin on the ship and kills himself, says Klingelhofer. Raleigh returned to England, where King James ordered him beheaded for, among other things, disobeying orders to avoid conflict with the Spanish. As the legend grew, many explorers set out in search of El Dorado. Some believed it to be located in present-day Colombia or Venezuela, while others thought it was in the Amazon rainforest. The most famous of these explorers was Francisco Pizarro, who conquered the Inca Empire and later led an expedition in search of El Dorado. However, despite years of searching, no one ever found the City of Gold. So, is there any truth to the legend of El Dorado? Well, there is no evidence to suggest that there was ever a city made entirely of gold. However, there were certainly civilizations in South America that had vast amounts of gold and other precious metals. The Inca Empire, for example, was known for its gold artifacts and jewelry. The Muisca people of present-day Colombia also had a tradition of offering gold to their gods. As for the lost treasure of El Dorado, there is no evidence that it ever existed. It is possible that the legend was simply a way for the indigenous people to keep the Spanish explorers occupied and away from their territories. Or perhaps it was a way for the Spanish to justify their conquests and exploitation of the native populations. In conclusion, the legend of El Dorado and its lost treasure remains a fascinating and mysterious part of history. While there is no evidence to suggest that there was ever a city made entirely of gold, there were certainly civilizations in South America that had vast amounts of precious metals. The legend of El Dorado may never be fully unraveled, but it will continue to capture the imaginations of adventurers and treasure hunters for generations to come. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and hit the bell icon for instant notification. Stay tuned for more informative videos.